Hi, Alexis. Let's go ahead and get started. I've got your composition up here. Now, the first thing I really recommend is going over to the assignment page and really scrubbing through these instructions, objectives, and requirements, because it seems right now that there's a lot of this stuff missing. I'm going to go through this blow by blow so that you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I would definitely recommend you come here and really spend some time in this instructions, objectives, and design requirements. Additionally, at this point, I would like to draw your attention to the course announcements. These are critical. Well, there's 4 announcements for week 4. Each one has a bunch of tutorials and all sorts of things in it to help you with this assignment. Specifically, there's some examples in here, and this you want to look at. Actually, you want to look at all of these. I think it's really going to be apparent when you're done looking at these that your design work will improve. I promise you. I'm telling you the truth. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at those instructions, objectives, and requirements and compare them to what we have in your layout. So the first up, the object must be dominant. And it, the object must be dominant, which it is. Now, one really interesting thing to do is to crop the coffee machine out and show it in this crop version instead of placing things in boxes. Right now, everything's in boxes. We're going to get to that in 1 second. The main thing, the most important thing is that this is not oriented correctly. If we go to this PDF, we hover down at the bottom here, and let me just bring this into where you can see it. I'll hover down at the bottom. This is 7 by 5. This is required to be 7 by 15. Okay, so let's go back through the where I was in terms of the requirements. So object must be dominant. Object must be shown with somebody using it or interacting with it. Right now, that's being shown. Actually, there's somebody using it, interacting with it right there. Must show an image which is the result of using the object. So the result of using a coffee machine is coffee. I would show an image of somebody enjoying a cup of coffee. Must show at least 2 components. Right now, we're not showing any components. All right, components are the individual, like controls, like that button would be a component, or this whole control pad would be a component. The water bottle would be a component. The pitcher itself would be a component. The heating element, the basket, those are all individual components. We don't have those being shown here. So you want to show at least 2 components. Must include the headline, design in everyday life. Must include a paragraph of body copy and captions. Right now, you only have 1 caption, but the caption is bigger than the body copy, so you want to watch your hierarchy. Right now, you're indicating to the viewer that this is most important. That this is more important than the body copy, but it's not. Also, the body copy is there's just not enough here. I mean, there's not enough for me to ascertain your success and your proficiency in typesetting because there's only 2 sentences here, okay, or 3 sentences or whatever it is. So I would definitely recommend more type in there. I'm going to talk more about type in a second. White background, asymmetrical design only, 7 by 15 portrait or landscape. Your imagery must come in contact with the edge of the page twice, and this only comes in contact once. Okay, actually, I guess that's in contact there again. So there it is twice. Okay, sorry about that. Design must combine images that are in boxes as part of a background and cropped individually with no backgrounds. Do not put everything in a box. Well, everything's in a box. That's a box, that's a box, that's a box, that's a box, that's a box. You have to think about cropping some of these individual images to add interest. Now, there are examples in the instructions page as well as in the course announcements. So you want to take a look at those examples. Definitely take a look at this announcement right here. Where are my announcements? Oh, here they are. This announcement right here, how to complete assignment 4 tips and tricks. That's really a great little tutorial. So want to look at that. Okay, back to the task at hand. Full color, keep your image dominant. You must use a grid. Right now, I'm not seeing use of a grid because theoretically, what would tell me that we're using a grid is that these images would be the same width, right? And they're not. So, or this is not 3 of this or 4 of this, and the type width of the paragraph is not the width of that. So I'm not positive we're seeing a grid, but I could be possibly wrong. I'm not saying you're not using one. I'm just saying I'm just not seeing it as being apparent. Okay, in terms of the layout, though, those are requirements. Those are required. So you have to get back in there and scrub through those requirements. Make sure you understand them. If you don't, let me know. All right, as far as layout itself goes, you have design and everyday life. I mean, you have a chance here to really go off and create an interesting typographic composition here. I think this is very, very pedestrian, which I don't mean to use as a derogatory word or a word of discouragement. It's just really super basic. If you take a look at some of the examples, like this example, that's just a gorgeous typographic composition. And that, again, is in the announcements area. As an example, it's also in the Welcome to Week 4 announcements. If I open that guy up and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see some great examples there. And as soon as this opens, we'll be able to scroll to the bottom and take a look at these. Wonderful. These are gorgeous examples. So take your lead from these, definitely. Back to, okay, so even though you have only 4 lines here, you do have a diagonal on your rags, okay? And that's one thing we don't want. You want to stagger lines on your rags, and that's all covered in the video on how to set your rags. Again, back to the announcements, how to adjust your rags. You want to take a look at that. And again, watch your hierarchy. Right now, the caption is larger than body copy. You want to adjust that accordingly. So really, this, I think, is just more a matter of really getting down here and really applying some creativity here to push this thing as far as possible. That, and of course the requirements. So other than that, if you have any questions at all, but I would definitely like to see those being all of those elements being addressed in your final submission coming up this Sunday. So any questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, of course, let me know. I'll be glad to accommodate in that regard. Okay, great. Thank you very much.